Hello, I'd like to welcome you to the Wise Woman Rising program, a 4 week journey to reclaim your body's wisdom, honor your story, and rise in your power. This is a transformational space to reconnect with your hormones, your cycles, and your inner power. I'm Dr. Tiffany Keenan, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today, I'm honored to be joined by wise woman Nancy Breau, who'll be sharing pieces of her story, her challenges, her insights, and the wisdom that's carried her forward. These conversations are part of a greater movement, reminding us that healing isn't linear and that through sharing, we rise together. Nancy, thank you so much for being here. How are you feeling as we begin?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
That's wonderful, Nancy. I'm so excited to hear your stories and your inner wisdom.
And I'm very excited to share. So if I just give you a little brief history of where I come from, I currently have a wonderful life quality, great energy, but it has not always been the same. For maybe 15 years of my life, I was feeling very tired. I was gaining weight very, very fast. I was inflamed, and I could not read what sounded like a foreign language to me, which was my body's symptoms. And I spent years here trying to find answers, but just thinking that the way I was living in my body was actually what it was supposed to be like, with very low energy, a lot of inflammation, and not feeling very digestively comfortable. And in 2014, I moved to Kuwait, and in 2018, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. A few years later, I was diagnosed with PCOS, and there are so many things I've learned through my health journey that I think is now the reason why I currently can share some of my story to maybe inspire people, and make them understand that the body is so intelligent and we all have some kind of an inner wisdom that we can tap into so we can live better lives.
I love that, Nancy. So tell us more about what you've learned about your body's intelligence.
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is there's no drug that can fix a lifestyle that is not aligned with the body's needs. So with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, with PCOS, nutrition and lifestyle is key. Yes, there are drugs that we can take that can help, but nothing can fix what you put in your plate if it is not aligned with what the body needs. Um, when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I started reading and asking questions and connecting with other patients because there are a lot of Facebook groups out there, for people with hypothyroidism or PCOS or any health conditions. And I asked a lot of questions. A lot of people were telling me, cut out gluten, cut out sugar, cut out alcohol. So I started to tweak my nutrition. And yes, Synthroid was important when I started my journey with the thyroid condition. But food is also everything because I can see with the data I have that when I eat food that is not aligned with my body's needs, it causes inflammation very, very fast. So, and the thing is also, yes, nutrition is important and lifestyle is important, but I would say that drugs are not the enemy. I very often hear people in my office saying, I don't want to take any medication. I'm against medication. I'm just like, it's so good to live in 2025, knowing what we know, and knowing that science studied a lot of things that can actually help our body live in a greater state and get better through some sort of medications. But that medication is not everything. Nutrition and lifestyle is so important, and it won't. My Synthroid would have not done what nutrition has done for me over the years.
That's it. Again, food is energy. It's the medicine that we need for our body. And I think a lot of times we've forgotten that to really align and connect with it. And, you're right. In this time, this 21st century, we have other tools, which are called medications, which can sometimes be there to further support the body as we're on this different levels of our journey.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is, this is the second time that I reversed fatty liver disease. And how did I do it? It was there's no medicine, there's no drugs for that. It was all about adapting, adjusting my lifestyle. And when I started taking notes on a random sheet of paper I pulled to prepare for this today, I realized that this is the ultrasound saying that my liver is now healthy and that no follow-ups were necessary. So it's fantastic what is possible. The body is so much smarter than what we think. The body is not broken. It's our lifestyle and what we give our body that can be adjusted so that we can be more comfortable, have more energy, have more mental clarity.
This is wonderful, Nancy. So the body is smarter than we think. It is
Oh,
so
yes.
true. And it's that connecting to it and listening more to it that makes the difference when we fully become open and not looking outside for the answers, but tuning
Mhm.
into our wisdom.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the second thing I would say is it's important to be our body's advocate. And as I said, sometimes the symptoms we have can sound like a foreign language that we have no idea what it means. Very often we normalize things that are not normal, like fatigue. So many people are tired or digestive issues. Yeah, I'm constipated, but that's how it has always been. No, it's not normal. There are so many things that our body is trying to tell us, but we are clueless. So it's so important to educate ourselves, ask questions, and grow a relationship with our doctors. Because the doctor can't, I always tell my clients, the doctor can't plug your brain on his brain and figure out what's going on in your body. You need to speak up. You need to prepare those appointments and share the full list of symptoms that you're experiencing so that your doctor can help you. Um, Something that has been a huge game changer for me when I was in Kuwait is getting my hands on my lab reports and being interested in understanding what it meant. Because I was at a private health clinic and they would give me my lab report and I was like, whoa, those numbers mean something and I can actually use this information to give my body what it needs. So when I realized that the reference interval, those lab ranges are not what represents health and living symptoms free, and that within that range there is an optimal range, it changed everything. Um, and so now I track my results. I see if something fluctuates. That's also how I figured out that something was going on with my liver like 3 years ago when I saw my ALT going up suddenly. And I was like, whoa, it used to be 19. Why is it 35 now? Why is it 46 now? And I asked my doctor, can we do an ultrasound? Because something is going on with my liver. And I'm sure that she would have noticed it. But then again, it was also my responsibility to point that out and see, hey, I noticed that my enzymes are going up. Um, and the other thing is, I think the more educated we are, the more empowered we can be to be our body's advocate and speak up for ourselves so that we can gain a greater quality of life.
It's wonderful, Nancy. And that's what I tell, my patients as a physician, that no one is going to be a greater advocate for you than you. You know,
Mhm.
I really work to empower patients, giving blood work and helping people to understand as I guide them. But really, you are in the driver's seat of your health. So this is amazing that you've learned that. And thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, and we are so lucky to have that portal here in New Brunswick where we can access our lab results so easily. So there's no reason why, like, I think everybody should get their little code to access that and start just educating themselves on what it means.
For sure. My Health NB, I think, is the link that you
Yeah.
have here in New Brunswick. And, money was invested for a reason. It actually came out of a diabetic group, and that's why they wanted to have access to the numbers. And then, so all of New Brunswickers can access their information online because knowledge and information is power. That's key.
Oh, it's a great gift from our province. Definitely. And then the last thing I would say is I don't think it's possible to achieve optimal health without diving deep into the inner work. But then again, to get the inner work done, I think we need sufficient energy. So I would say that in my health journey, working on getting a better physical health was necessary to dive into the inner work that needed to be done. Um, Through meditation, through therapy, through hypnotherapy, through seeing a psychologist, understanding that I am not a body, I am a soul, I am an energy, I am a consciousness, I am a spirit living in this flesh and bone envelope. So there are so many things that can be unlocked when we dive into the inner world, and we figure out, I believe that actually everything that happens to us is there to teach us a lesson. Even health issues, there are so many things I've learned in terms of life lessons that I would have never learned if I had not those conditions, those metabolic conditions. And the greatest improvements I've seen recently is when I went back into diving deep into what's going on inside and asked myself, there's something I believe that there's something I did not understand yet. What is it? And great improvements happened recently in terms of my metabolism when I finally put my finger on, oh, there's something that is not healed, and it comes from a long, long, long time ago. So I encourage people to understand that it's important to learn how to just let the emotion flow through us, and also understand that there is this inner wisdom that is the unconscious that we can tap into to get greater insight. The amount of times that my intuition guided me towards making some changes, um, it has been in a lie. And I mean, intuition seems woo woo, but it's not woo woo. Everybody has that inner voice. It's the voice of the unconscious. So sometimes when you just get a thought and it pops, and it's not related to what you were just thinking about, you were not reflecting about anything. It's the voice of the unconscious, and the information that it can give us is just amazing. But for that, we need to calm the mind. We have to calm all of the thinking and the anxiety. And so we are so much more powerful than we believe we are.
Nancy, you have summed it up. This is a wise woman. It's someone that rises, that empowers herself with knowledge and education. And then she goes and she recalibrates her system by looking at what is best for her body. And then she transcends by really embracing her inner power and her inner wisdom.
Mhm.
Now, again, I'm so glad that you brought this up, because when you speak about the unconscious, we didn't mention that you are a hypnotherapist,
Yeah.
that you get to see with people every day, that greater power that we all have, but we're so blocked because we put on so many lenses of the outside world. And as those lenses kind of change and shift, we begin to see with new eyes. And we have this inner clarity that arises that is something more than we've ever seen. And, it brings me back as women go through in the menopause transition, because we know that women come out of menopause actually much happier and with greater clarity than ever before. And it's because they've allowed themselves to really embrace that wisdom within, and all of that programming that we've learned from childhood and what it means to be a woman or a mother or whatever. That becomes change because we embrace our authentic selves,
Mhm.
and we remember who we are, and then how we can activate and transcend on an even greater level than ever before.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Oh, Nancy, I'm so happy that you're here with us today. And I guess we'll put a little plug in, because so this fall, Nancy and I are going to be hosting a women's workshop, and you're going to be more inspired. So stay tuned for that. But I really want to thank Nancy truly for being here today. Thank you so much. And I hope that many of you will join us on August 5th as we begin our first sessions of the Wise Woman Rising program. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us all. I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you so much. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity.